This is Business Edge on News Central. I'm Tolulope. Adeleru-Balogun, our headline stories. Nigeria's Apex Bank has introduced a Naira for dollar scheme. This comes as the country recorded a 7.37 billion Naira foreign trade deficit in 2020. Now, in November 2020, the Central Bank of Nigeria announced that beneficiaries of diaspora remittances through international money transfer operators will have such inflows in foreign currency through the designated bank of their choice. Now, the CBN has also introduced a Naira for dollar scheme for diaspora remittances in a bid to woo investors. We'll also look at the National Bureau of Statistics reports that in the fourth quarter of 2020, Nigeria's foreign trade deficit was over 7 billion Naira. These are the stories we are focusing on today. Welcome. This is Business Edge. So the Central Bank of Nigeria, the CBN, has introduced a Naira for dollar scheme for diaspora remittances. Now, this offers recipients of diaspora remittances through the CBN's IMTOs 5 Naira for every $1 received as remittance inflow. The CBN disclosed this in a circular that was issued to all deposit money banks, DMO, and international money transfer operators, IMTOs. The scheme took effect on Monday, March the 8th, and runs until Saturday, May 8th, 2021. Recently, Nigeria's weekly diaspora remittances surged by 500% to $30 million from $5 million. The CBN had argued that the changes are necessary to deepen the foreign exchange market, provide more liquidity, and create more transparency in the administration of diaspora remittances into Nigeria. Joining me is Muktar Mohammed. He's the CEO of Astra Dynamic Solution and a regular on Business Edge. Muktar, good morning and welcome to the show once again.
Thank you, Tulu. It's my pleasure.
Thank you so much for joining us. So let's look at what is behind this. As I said earlier, the CBN said it's to deepen the foreign market, foreign exchange market, provide more liquidity and create more transparency in the administration of diaspora remittances. These are all issues we know have been around for a while. So why particularly now, I guess the question would be, that the CBN is pushing forward this policy?
Well, you all know that the CBN, with the current depletion of our reserve, are looking at way to beef up our reserve. And also, you know, in terms of earning capability because of the low oil price also, until recently, and the COVID-19 incident, we started, we didn't get the kind of revenue we normally get from crude. And so that was affecting the exchange rates. And so they are looking at ways to meet demands, to meet some of the demands in terms of the dollar rate to the Naira. So they are trying to see how they can encourage Nigerians in the diaspora to send their FX to Nigeria directly. And also, this is not the first. Remember, they've also done initially before now, even when you send dollar, you are being given the exchange rate to a Naira. Even before now, they now came up with a circular that once you send dollars, you must receive that payment through dollar too. So these are all administrative way of trying to reduce the volatility of the exchange rate by using the diaspora remittance as one of those skills that they can use to guide against the free fall of the Naira. I think that's what they're trying to do.
Okay, so one of the other things that were noticed, or rather pointed out, was hopefully that this policy would also help to create more transparency in the administration of diaspora remittances. What's wrong with how people have been getting dollars before now? Are there issues with how transparent or opaque that situation has been?
There've not been issues that have to deal directly with CBN. Maybe there's been issues in terms of implement. Because let me give you an example what they do in the diaspora. Sometimes some Nigerians here or some Nigerians in the diaspora have their Naira account situated in Nigeria. So instead of you sending that dollars directly to Nigeria, you pay it into their Naira account there in maybe in America or the UK, and then they will now transfer the Naira equivalent to your client here in Nigeria or to your family members in Nigeria. What we should know is that diaspora remittance to Nigeria is basically for upkeep about 70% of those remittances are actually for upkeep to help family members who have one issue or the other. So that's what most of these funds are allocated for. So, and then only 30% is allocated to things like investment and most of those investments are in real estate. So when you look at that, that's why the CBN is trying to use that. But I think we should take it a little bit further by trying to attract make investment attractive to it as for people, letting them know some of the advantage in investing in Nigeria, and not just giving them free funds that might not stay too long, because for 3 months, after 3 months, what happens? And again, they are also looking for better rates. It doesn't mean that most of them will still continue with giving their rates at the fixed price of government price, because once you collect this money, you still have to take it back to the Bureau de Change. Yeah. And so you still exchange it at the rate that they are doing. The only way that you can have it is when you have the supply of that dollar so much flooding the market, whereby it will definitely come down to demand and supply. And like you said, the Bureau de Change also are saying that we want to be part of it also. We also receive remittance from Nigerians abroad, and they do, because some Nigerians abroad send money directly to the Bureau de Change, and the Bureau de Change in turn give their family members the Naira equivalent here in Nigeria. Okay. So they have to look at that also.
Okay, so Naira exchange, looking at the exchange windows, looking at providing more liquidity, and also making sure there's transparency. And we've touched on this already, that Nigerians have been having a difficult time getting their hands on dollars, and there have been different exchange windows in play for a while. So do you genuinely think that this policy will help bring in more foreign currency, into the country, and also foreign investments? It's a policy that's only lasting till the first week of May.
It will only bring foreign currency into Nigeria, but it might not be able. It's not bringing any investment. Like I said, what the CBN should be doing is the deposit money bank should be looking at investments that Nigerians can do in the diaspora, using the diaspora commission. But what we are doing now is definitely just attracting funds. Like I said, and most of these funds are not so large a fund that comes in. Some of them come in for domestic. About 70% are for domestic use. Upkeep of parents, upkeep of loved ones, trying to meet one or two family demands. The other 30% goes to real estate. So what we need to do is to look at the Nigerian diaspora, look at how to attract investment here in terms of SMEs, them establishing their own companies here, creating jobs also, and giving them incentives for that also, and also looking at how they can also benefit from the capital market in Nigeria also to grow their funds. So those are investment vehicles that I feel the CBN should be selling to Nigerians in the diaspora. We used to have the roadshow whereby Nigerians goes around telling mostly investors and also Nigerians in the diaspora what they stand to gain in investing in Nigeria. I think those shows should reopen now so that you can attract foreign exchange that will be here for the long haul. Because what we are seeing now, after 3 months, like you say, what happens if those funding are not coming back? And again, the challenge in bringing funds from diaspora to Nigeria has nothing to do with because of the exchange. Also, you need to look at the administrative charges of $25 per any transaction that you do. So sometimes for them to save that $25, they rather use a direct money agent right there in America who can supply the Naira equivalent to their family member here and save themselves of that $25 transfer fee than sending it to Nigeria.
Okay, so quickly on the flip side, we talk a lot about dollar liquidity, and this is 5 Naira for every $1. Would this not push too much Naira liquidity, too much Naira into the markets? Are there no concerns about that?
Well, the CBN has concerns about that, but they always know how to do that. You just mop up the Naira liquidity, reduce circulation of Naira. That will also bring down the in terms of inflation. Okay. So that they have a vehicle that they use to address that, and that vehicle will be working for them. So that will not be a major challenge for them.
So Muktar, where is this money coming from? So if, let's say, 100 people get maybe 100,000, or that's too much. Let's say 100 people get $500 sent to them today. That is money that the CBN, in terms of the 5 Naira value, must put forth. So where is the CBN getting this money? Where is it coming from? The Naira, that is.
CBN. It's coming from the CBN directly.
Where in the CBN? Is it a special fund?
We did a small data analysis calculation by what the CBN governor said is going to attract about $34 billion into the Nigeria economy. And if you attract about $34 billion with what you are expecting for the diaspora funding based on the statistics that they have, but you are going to spend on that about 17 billion also in terms of payment that you do to them. So definitely what they are thinking that if you have 34 billion and you spend half of it to giving them Naira equivalent, that also helps in boosting of your foreign reserve. At the long run, you have a snowball effect that might trickle down to your intervention in the forex market. So what will mean that the CBN will not too much intervene in the domestic forex market, and that will also mean that the reserve will be robust compared to what they use in intervening. So I think that's what they are basically looking at. Instead of intervening with the dollars, you are trying to intervene with the Naira that you have control over, compared to the dollar that you don't have control over.
Okay, so very quickly before we take a break, when we look at this Naira for dollar policy, then we consider that the IMF and the World Bank have both been clamoring for a single exchange window, a single exchange system in Nigeria, and they've even argued about further devaluing the Naira. What should we be expecting from the CBN in this regard? You've talked about it now that they're intervening in Naira, which they control, versus trying to intervene in dollar, which they have no control over. So what do we expect from the CBN in regards to this in the next few months?
I think the CBN is also trying to make sure that we get that uniformity in the exchange rate. The import-export window, which for me is a gauge of us knowing the exchange rate is going for 4. The dollar is going for 4.10, 4.11. So definitely the CBN is working into that, working towards making that unified exchange rate, which you can only achieve that when you have a robust reserve. And so now the good thing is that they are bringing this dollar to Naira policy also, and also the price of crude oil has gone up, and so we may attract a lot of forex into our foreign reserve. That could also help in the long run to bring down to make sure that we have this unified exchange rate. I think that's what the CBN also is looking at. And then they will also look at how to attract foreign direct investment, which is the key, which is what really helps in bringing down the exchange rate, stability in the exchange rate. We have not seen that happen since this administration came to power. Rather, we have seen a reduction in foreign direct investment, but we have seen an increase in foreign portfolio investment, which is a two-way traffic. So you come in and you're able to exit. And so the challenge has been in meeting those exit demands without attracting foreign direct investment, which dissociates the foreign reserve. So they must use it to make sure that you get those foreign direct investment coming into Nigeria, you get Nigeria in the diaspora making remittance, and then you make sure that the level of outflow, especially through the portfolio investors, the inflow from the foreign direct investors will outweigh the level of the outflow from the foreign portfolio investors, and that is how you will be able to have a uniform exchange rate.
All right, so we're going to take a break now. When we come back, we'll look at Nigeria's foreign trade deficit. A new report from the National Bureau of Statistics puts the figure at over 7 billion naira. The details after this. Now, according to the latest figures released from the National Bureau of Statistics, Nigeria recorded a 7.37 billion naira foreign trade deficit in 2020. The NBS report shows that the total trade in 2020 stood at 32.42 billion naira. According to the report, Nigeria's total merchandise trade stood at 9.12 trillion naira, representing 8.9% over the level recorded in the third quarter of 2020, but was 9.9% lower when compared to the fourth quarter of 2019. And the export component of trade stood at 3.19 trillion naira, an increase of 6.7% over the preceding quarter, but a drop of 33% over the previous year. And still with me on Business Edge is Muktar Mohammed. Muktar, let's get straight into this. Not some good news here, but definitely nothing not necessarily unexpected, one would say. So what accounted for a trade deficit of 7.37 billion naira in 2020, in your opinion?
Definitely, we've not been exporting so much, and then the pandemic came in, and also must not forget that we have a shutdown in our economy, even in terms of export. even our main export, which was crude oil, at the point where we are looking for buyers. So it's not surprising that we had those deficits in terms of trade. So I expect that to continue because, again, we are an economy that imports over 90% of its basic needs. So it's not surprising, like you said in your report, is what is expected. But the huge differences we are seeing in the it has to do with the pandemic and the shutdown of the economy at that time.
And you said it's not expected, but the number that came in, this 7.37 billion, is that number where you would have estimated that we would be with the foreign trade deficit?
No, not where I expected us to be. But like I said, when we shut down a lot of economic activities, there was not any production going on in a lot of our sector. But yet we are still allowing some goods to come in because we still have to meet the basic needs of our people. So definitely you have that defect because you are not even taking out anything, and then you have to bring in something because those are what your citizens will use to survive.
Okay, so this is an issue that has existed for a number of years, particularly for Nigeria. And as we wrap things up, the question then is, how do we reduce our foreign trade deficits? This is a year where the world is struggling economically. More countries are looking for where to send their goods to, not just Nigeria. More countries are looking to export, so there's more money coming in. What can be done this year to make a difference? It may not necessarily mean we break even and the foreign trade deficit is completely gone, but at least to show that there is momentum and movement in changing the fact that Nigeria imports the majority of its daily needs.
So I wish we had a short-term solution to a long-term problem. What we should do differently is to make sure that we produce more of what we consume. And that is, like you agree with me, that cannot be resolved within the shortest possible time. So it's a huge challenge. We need to begin to produce what we consume, especially basic necessity. And we can't achieve that again because of the challenge that has to do with power, that has to do with a lot of infrastructure, that has to do with movement, and also that has to do with expertise in terms of employmentability of Nigerians. So if you talk about farming, how many Nigerians are ready to go to the farm? Most time when you go to the farm settlement in Nigeria, there are people from Cotonou, Benin Republic, and other nationalities that want to farm in Nigeria, not necessarily Nigerians themselves. So we have a lot of work to do in those spaces. And so these are not things that can be achieved overnight. These are things that we achieve with careful planning, and it take a lot of time. So it's a huge challenge for us, and the government should continue to do its best. And what I always say is that the monetary policy will always come out with the monetary side of it, but the physical policy have to do their own side. And that has been where the challenge has been. The physical policy have not been able to come up with a definite plan in how to revive the economy after the monetary policy have done some of the monetary decisions. So when you have a one-way traffic, that's the challenges that we'll continue to have in the economy. Until we have synergy between the monetary and the physical side, then we'll begin to see those results turn out in terms of the numbers and then the reduction of trade deficit. And also, we'll never forget talking about the exchange rate also.
All right, so we'll end the conversation there for today. Muktar Mohammed, CEO, Astro Dynamic Solution. Thank you, as always, for joining me on Business Edge. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, too.
All right.
My pleasure.
We'll be wrapping things up with NC4 to watch. These are a few stories we are keeping our eyes on. We start in Nigeria, where members of the country's Senate Public Accounts Committee and the officials of the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation engaged in a heated debate on Tuesday with officials of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation over the agency's alleged unremitted 4.06 trillion naira money. The Office of the Auditor General had, in its 2016 audit report, alleged that the NNPC did not remit the amount into the Federation account from operational proceeds made between 2010 and 2016. Statistics South Africa's latest gross domestic product data has revealed that the country's ailing economy continues to be outpaced by population growth. Recently, the statistics body published its GDP numbers for the fourth quarter of 2020, which revealed that Africa's most industrialized nation is projected to have declined by 7% for the full year of 2020. Some good news here now. The African Development Bank has been ranked as the world's best multilateral financial institution for 2021 by the world-renowned American magazine Global Finance. A statement on the AFDB website said that the award is an affirmation of the success of the operational strategy being pursued by the African Development Bank under the leadership of Akinwumi Adesina. And finally, the Central Bank of Egypt has announced that the country's foreign debt increased to about $125.3 billion in September 2020. The figure reflects a $1.5 billion hike, equivalent to about $1.8 billion compared to June 2020. And in its monthly report issued on Tuesday, Egypt's Apex Bank said that this increase came as a result of an increase in the net disbursements of loans and facilities by about $400 million. That's it on this edition of Business Edge. Don't forget to follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. Head to our website, www.newscentral.africa, and also download our mobile app on the Play Store and Apple App Store. Until next time, I'm Tolulope, Adeleru-Balogun.